Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars, and let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today. So in this video today, guys, I'm going to keep it very simple, quickly just move through these different time frames and then show you guys the Bitcoin liquidation heat map as well as the ETF inflows or outflows. The reason I want to keep it simple is because I think everyone is overcomplicating this situation. If we take a look at this 2-day time frame, then notice how right here we still don't have that bullish confirmation for Bitcoin of us getting a 2-day candle close above 120K. So is this a great time to be looking for some kind of extreme long position all the way up to 130K? In my personal opinion, no, there is no bullish confirmation at the moment that we are actually getting that move higher. Now, does that mean that it is illegal to long Bitcoin here, that you cannot take advantage of a short-term pump to the upside, perhaps on the lower time frames? Of course you can do that, and of course you can trade Bitcoin long and short on the lower time frames too, but I'm just saying, technically speaking, we do not have that bullish confirmation yet, so that is something that is good to note here on this time frame. Now, oppositely, I also see a bunch of people that are just being extremely bearish right now. I think I saw one specific guy who I know most of you will know. He was calling for 60K to be reached in the Bitcoin price. Meanwhile, we're literally trading sideways. Like, we have retraced a bunch of this pump from yesterday, but overall, guys, we are at the exact same price as we were over a month ago. So is this a time to be extremely bearish? No, we are just trading sideways. Okay, and I think everyone is getting this wrong. Everyone wants to be extremely bullish right now or extremely bearish, and no one wants to be just neutral on the Bitcoin price. So the 2-day time frame, we're just trading above this big level of support from 112 down to 110K, and trading below this level of resistance from 119K up to 120K. Moving on to this 1 week time frame, as I said yesterday as well, we do have this rising wedge pattern, which is a bearish bias pattern, meaning that it is more likely to break to the downside. Now, if we start getting weekly candle closes below 115K in the Bitcoin price, we are literally confirming a price target at about 87K, call it 90K. So that would be a huge price target to the downside on this higher time frame, in combination with bearish divergence as well on this RSI momentum indicator. Again, that typically plays out either in some choppy sideways price action or potentially some bearish momentum. Now, is this something to be extremely concerned about at the moment? And should people already be calling for this to be reached? No, because we have not confirmed a technical breakdown here. And even if we do end up getting this one candle close, in my opinion, this 2-day time frame is actually what is leading, and this is what we should be paying attention to the most, in my personal opinion. Now, what is the bull case for Bitcoin here? Because obviously we saw this big bump to the upside yesterday. What is this potential bull case, this magical run that we are getting up to 130K, the elusive alt season that everyone keeps talking about, which keeps not happening every time people call for it? Well, look, on this 4-hour time frame, there is a technical price target to the upside at 123K in the Bitcoin price, so around these previous highs. However, what you may notice if you draw a Fibonacci retracement here is that we do have this golden pocket sitting at exactly this big level of resistance around 120K. Again, before we can start talking about a bigger move to the upside, we need to break that Fibonacci golden pocket. To summarize here, the 4-hour time frame technically still has a confirmed price target to the upside at 123K. However, we are right now in the middle of this range that I showed you on the 2-day time frame. So personally, I don't love taking long positions in the middle of this range. Either I want to short at the top of the range or I want to long at the bottom of the range if we are getting a bullish or bearish setup there, right? I don't want to try to open some kind of swing position in the middle of that move, because then it is a very late entry to that swing. What you can do is take advantage of the much lower time frames and, for example, try to scalp these moves up and down for Bitcoin, because this is something that you can have much more control over than if you're trying to call this next massive move to the upside for Bitcoin or not. You can simply take short-term, long and short positions here and take advantage of this massive volatility that we have been seeing in the markets. If you want to learn the basics of technical analysis, I've actually created a free trading course on my website. So I will leave a link to this in the description of this video. It is basically exchangehawks.com/academy. Now, moving on to this Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on the 3-day time frame, right now, most of the liquidity is to the downside at 111 and even 114.3K. In the case that you don't know, typically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. So right now, in the short term, that is to the downside, but do not fade this upside liquidity as well. It is good to know that this liquidity is here, for example, at 116.2K and even as high as about 118K in the Bitcoin price. Besides that, if I do take a look at this 2-week time frame, so notice we are now on a different time frame compared to this short-term liquidity that we were looking at earlier. Here you can actually see that most of that liquidity is to the upside. Now we can take a look at the chart again and see that 120K is right here. So even if we get a move all the way up here, we would be taking out the liquidity, but it does not guarantee that we are actually going to get 2-day candle closes above this 120K level, and from there get that next big move to the upside. So that is the big bullish confirmation that you need to look out for on this time frame specifically. Now, lastly, let's take a quick look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables. Yesterday, we saw a neutral flow, like a tiny outflow here, in comparison to these massive outflows we saw here recently. So either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.